Don't judge a book by its cover.
And don't believe everything that you hear and only half of what you see, because everything is not what it seems. In preparation for this speech, we've conducted a series of research on URT.
Uncertainty reduction theory. We found a web article, which was basically the theory by Richard Calabrese and Charles Berger. We watched a video interview that Mr. Elm Griffin did with Mr. Charles Berger as well, which was very interesting.
I must say so myself. Gave us a very clear understanding of the actual theory. And we also looked at a series of articles, one in particular being the State University of New York conducted a research and
reconceptualization of uncertainty reduction theory, which was very interesting as well.
Yes, it really was. It gave us some of the strategies and the axioms that's associated with this video. Thank you. Uncertainty reduction is also known as the initial interaction theory, which is a communication theory from the post-positivist
tradition. Uncertainty reduction basically means that we as people have the need to reduce uncertainty by gaining knowledge, collecting information about others. We use that information that we gather to create assumptions in order to try to predict the other person's behaviors, personalities, the way that we perceive them, or
their mannerisms,
yes,
the way they behave,
in order to lessen our uncertainty about the other.
Just like with this assignment example, basically, when we initially got the assignment to do a theory critique, uncertainty reduction critique, Cassie and I didn't know each other. We didn't know how each other operated. We didn't know how we worked, period. So it was a bunch of uncertainty.
Yes, I was extremely nervous, wondering, okay, actually we had two partners to begin with. Are they smart? Are they going to be nice? Will we work well together? You know, is this assignment going to be much more difficult because I have a difficult partner? And then it ended up being incredibly easy, which I'm thankful for.
So am I. So it has been a very great process so far. But the theory was created by Charles Berger and Richard Calabrese in the late 1970s. There are numerous struggles associated in everyday life when it comes to adapting in this ever-changing world, and especially socially. We tend to anticipate and predict in order to succeed.
Three main ways that people try to seek information about one another in an attempt to learn more are interactive strategies, where we speak directly to one another to learn more, you know, basically like
example,
your age.
Cassie and I, if we were meeting out, or say for instance, she was someone that I didn't know, or back to the point of us initially getting this assignment, we first collaborated on the blackboard.
We verbally spoke, and
yes,
then that kind of reduced just a little bit of an anxiety right there.
And then that was a example of a
interactive strategy.
Exactly.
Then we have passive strategies, where you're observant, you pay attention to the other person's mannerisms.
And that could even mean something as much as if you, say for instance, you don't know a person and you're out at a ball game or something like that, and you're
self-monitoring.
Yeah.
You self-monitor, watch the person, observe.
Mm-hmm. And you're just kind of watching like, wow, she eat like this. or that person clap like
she
this.
She carries herself.
So, yes.
Yeah.
She wears nice things.
Yes.
That kind of thing. It kind of give you an overall impression of that person. What kind of impression? That's a whole nother story. But anyway, the third strategy is active strategy.
That's where we ask questions about someone in an attempt to learn more and gain information. Like, Charlize, you know, what is your religion? Do you have a religion? Do you?
Yeah, or it also can mean that active strategy can mean that, you know, maybe Cassie and I didn't know one another, but we knew another person outside of that. So I may have went to that person and was like, you know, Jane Doe, how is Cassie? You know, I have an assignment that I need to work with her with, and I've been kind of seeing that, you know, she don't like she turn out work really fast, or she look like she procrastinate a little more than I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that person may give me a view of Cassie.
Until you meet me, and then you create your own.
And yeah. Next, we will be discussing the positives of uncertainty reduction.
And the negatives.
Thank you. Okay. There are positives associated with the uncertainty reduction theories. In other words, there are high levels, similarities to another person, and finding those similarities can be a very positive thing. As the theorist, Mr. Berger, first initiated it, he used axioms to describe the process of one getting to know each other, and it explained the behavior of the more similar we are to one another, the more we kind of like each other.
And the way we progress as we get to know people, the levels you go through.
So we will be explaining that, going from axiom 1 through 8 for you guys, giving examples as well. Okay. The first axiom is axiom 1, and it is verbal communication. Verbal communication is verbal communication, basically. You basically communicating with that person. You guys are talking, using actual language to communicate. That's what the first axiom indicates. It's like upon meeting somebody, you walk up to that person, you say, "Hey, my name is Cassie. My name is Charlize.
Nice to meet you, Charlize.
Nice to meet you." That kind of thing.
And you establish the verbal communication.
Exactly.
Axiom 1.
And that's axiom 1. We also have axiom 2. I can't say it. And that is the nonverbal communication. I was about to say no language. But yes, that's the nonverbal communication. And we all know what that means. Is basically body language that we assess when we're dealing with anybody. It's sort of like if you're sitting close to somebody and they close their legs your way or something like that. Sometimes, or how close they sit to you, that can kind of give you certain indications about that person. But noticing their body language is all a part of getting to know
and reading them
and reading that person, because you can tell a lot by how close somebody want to come stand to you, or the way somebody looks at you.
If they're distanced, if they're comfortable enough to be near you, like, you know, sit down beside you in the chair, or if I sit on the complete opposite side of the table.
Yes. What leads to our next axiom, which is axiom 3, and it's information seeking, which is axiom 3. Information
seeking.
Yeah. Information seeking is basically asking questions. And as I kind of stated earlier on in the preview, that it's different strategies to kind of seeking information. But with this one, we're just...
How old are you? What's your name?
Yeah, it's asking questions. This one is more of a direct.
Do you go to school?
Yes, interactive.
Yes.
Strategy. Yeah, we just sitting here talking. We having a conversation.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's how we get to know each other, which leads actually to the 4th axiom, which is disclosure.
Yep.
And we're kind of running out of space here. But let's just do it here.
Yeah.
And that's self-disclosure. Self-disclosure just means that you're giving information away about yourself, which is vital in actually getting to know anybody. You can't get to know someone without kind of sharing certain things. So it's sort of like a gamble we take every day. Upon meeting someone initially, you don't give them interpersonal information about yourself. Most people don't anyway. Some people do. Most people don't.
Yeah, most people don't.
Yeah. So that's the disclosure.
You have to open up a little bit in order to start the lines of communication.
Yeah. It's like how you're going to be somebody's friend and you don't tell them.
Yeah, my name is Callie. That's it. And then, you know, but if I'm like, you know, I live here, I'm I go to school here. These are the things I enjoy doing. That's opening more of a lot of communication to progress in the relationship if you want that.
Which leads to the fifth axiom, which is reciprocation. I'm sorry.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, that's basically because if Callie tell me that she really likes something, will you write that for me?
Yes.
If she tells me that she really likes something and I'm coming in and I am reciprocating that action, if I'm telling her I really like that as well, well, I don't maybe like that, but I do like this one. So we're sharing common interests. Axiom 6.
Axiom 6 would be similarity. The more you find you have in common with another person, the more you tend to like them. The more your uncertainty is reduced, because you find out you're more like somebody, you tend to like them more. So that creates a stronger bond, or, moving forward in the relationship process. So similarity is number 6.
Yes. And once you create that similarity, like Cassie just said, you basically realize that that's a person that you have interest, y'all have common interests. And if you guys can go further, it's kind of hard to be around a person that you don't have nothing in common with at all. And that's in any kind of relationship.
It increases the information seeking. You realize you want to know more. You like the person. So
which leads to the 7th axiom.
Yes.
Because that's actually liking.
Yeah.
Liking, basically, as Cassie stated, after you realize your similarities, you develop a sense of liking. You kind of fond of that person, like, wow, she and I have something in common. You might tell your boyfriend, or you might tell your husband, I met a friend, she and I spoke, and we have a lot of similarities. We both like MAC lipsticks.
Yes. It goes beyond the school assignment. We've created a friendship just beyond the partner for our school assignment.
Yes. Which leads to our last axiom, which is axiom 8, and that's share network. Let's go. It's okay.
Sharing network.
Sharing network just basically means we're getting to know each other, and we're getting to know each other's friends. I may send Cassie a friend request on Facebook.
I may start following you on Instagram.
Exactly. And we are kind of getting to know one another, because if I post something, she posts, I might have another friend that may post as well. So we are creating a community.
Yes.
We creating sort of some kind of camaraderie, and everybody is becoming friends.
Yes.
In that
creates
sense.
a circle.
And like as stated, that's the way
relationships progress. So uncertainty can be bad. A negative, it can be, are also known as the declining levels. Dissimilarities increase the amount of uncertainty. When uncertainty declines, the level of information seeking decreases. So the less you want to know. As attraction goes up, we tend to question less because there's no need to. We don't really want to. There's a negative relationship between information seeking and liking. Seeking and searching similarities are negatively related. Reciprocity rates and liking are negatively related, and reciprocity rates and similarity are negatively related.
In conclusion, we have gave you guys the definition, or maybe the theorem from Mr. Calabrese and Mr. Berger. As stated, it was developed in the 1970s. We have gave you guys the process on what the axioms, how it was developed or structured from axiom 1 to axiom 8. There were also theorems developed with that, associated with that. We gave you guys the positive in basically getting to know or reducing that uncertainty by talking to one another, basically with the axioms, and the negative ways as well.
That they influence a relationship in the way that it's in our everyday life, in every relationship we have, whether it be friendship, relationship, just coming into contact with people, there's uncertainty reduction.
we gave you guys the strategies, the interactive, what was active, and the passive strategies that was associated with the strategy, with the theory. And basically wanted to remind you guys that uncertainty is an ongoing, or communication is an ongoing social survival skill. You communicate with people on a day-to-day basis, whether you want to or not. Silence is even a way to communicate.
It's not always the most pleasant way, but it definitely is a way of communication.
Yes.